So, Molly, I do want to say I'm a huge fan of Sirens. Just an absolutely fantastic, bizarre in the best way, just funny, but also very dramatic piece. And certainly balancing that tone is definitely something I want to dive into. But I want to start first. Obviously, this is based off a play that you wrote and have produced, Elemeno Pea. Tell me where that stage version came from. What inspired you to write that original version of the story?
So the play Elemeno Pea, I wrote it as a student when I was at Juilliard. But when I wrote it, I was writing about an experience I had had a decade before. So right when I got out of college at 22, I'm not entirely sure why, but I moved to Martha's Vineyard. I just had this feeling that I wanted to go have an experience. I didn't know anyone there. I didn't have a job there. It was very strange, but that's what I did. And I got a job working at the Edgartown Yacht Club, which is one of the oldest yacht clubs in the country. And it's the members are some of the wealthiest people in the world. And I come from a middle class upstate New York background and did not know money like that existed in my life. And when I got there, I was sort of fascinated by these people, and I'm still writing about them today, all these years later. So
That's amazing.
yeah.
The line in Sirens where I believe it's Kiki, Michaela, who says, "Never tell them where you're. Never say Buffalo. Always say upstate New York," or something along the lines. But the minute that was said, I'm like, somebody has from upstate New York. It rang very true.
Yeah, I'm from Kingston, which is in the Hudson Valley. But then I went to college in Rochester, so the Rochester Buffalo area. But I always found it fascinating. I went to a SUNY Geneseo, Western New York, but it's taken very seriously what it constitutes upstate and what's downstate and what's the city, and it's a whole New York thing. But you don't get to say upstate when you're that far west. That's for sure.
Right. I have a friend that lives in the Hudson Valley area, and so I went to do the tours and all this stuff, the Sleepy Hollow Bridge and all that. And then I had a friend that lived in Rochester, and I visited. Everything is Kodak there; it's hilarious. And it was during the winter, and I stepped off of the sidewalk into a snowdrift, not knowing it was about 5 feet down. So I was just completely covered in snow. It was hilarious. Anyway, so when you were looking to produce this or to expand Elemeno Pea into what would become Sirens, what did that allow you to do? How did that allow you to grow the story and explore different themes?
Well, it was wonderful because the play is 5 characters, 90 minutes, and it happens in one room. And so what I love about the play actually is it happens in real time. So it's 90 minutes of continuous action. But we hear about people like Peter Kell, but we don't meet him. We know the husband. And we hear about the opulence of the world, but we certainly don't see it. So that was the first place, is just getting to expand and create a visual vocabulary for the kind of opulence that I was describing in the play. But the other thing is to turn a 90-minute play into a 5-hour miniseries. It's a big endeavor, but it's also, we're adding characters, we're adding tons of story. It's very different from the play, but I think the roots of it are the same, which is it's a story about sisters, it's a story about trauma. It asks about class. Can you change your class in America? And also this, what do we owe the people that raised us? Who are we if we try to change where we come from? Can you change your stripes? All those questions are still in the spine of the play. So it is fun to see it change. But it got a lot bigger and a lot deeper.
Yeah. So obviously the center of this story, aside from the sisters, is Michaela, Kiki, played by Julianne Moore so wonderfully. And I'm very interested in sort of the generation of that character, the origin of that character. You talked about working in the yacht club on Martha's Vineyard. Was this character based on someone that you knew? Was it an amalgamation? Kind of, where did this character come from?
This character is based on someone I know who I hope doesn't watch a lot of TV. But no, at this point, it would have been 25 years ago. So I don't know that she recognized herself anymore anyway. But I did get to know a lot of the women at the yacht club. And one in particular she was a second wife, and she was the source of a lot of gossip. And I got to know her a little bit, and like everyone else, sort of made a bunch of assumptions about her. And by the end of the summer, I'd come to realize that I was really wrong about who she was. And she actually had a very lonely and very sad story, and she's covered in diamonds and seems to like be living this dream life, but her husband was almost never there. And there was a lot of pain, and her prenup was bad, and she didn't have any actual power. And I was 22. It was very eye-opening for me, but also to realize how wrong I was about someone. And so from there, the character changed a lot. But this basic idea that you meet someone and can think they're a monster, and then walk in their shoes, even for a second, and see how wrong you were. I love that. I love that in a story. And even when I watch stories or read stories, I love when I'm proven wrong about something. I think that's anyway. So I strive to do that in my own writing, but also love it when it happens to me as an audience member.
It's absolutely something I picked up as I watched the series, because in the first episode, Kiki is positioned as something of a cult leader. That is what everybody thinks that she is. That is, this bird cult woman, and you think it's going in one direction. And then all of a sudden you realize, as you're watching it, the audience becomes increasingly sympathetic toward her. You begin to understand her a lot more. And by the end, this person is not the villain I thought this person was. It's actually this person, that trajectory mirrors your understanding and your experience with that character, that person from your past.
Yes, very much so. And I think one of the similarities between the play and the show is that you think you're kind of watching this tug of war between two characters over a third character, when in fact who actually has the power and who is really the monstrous character is, you made the wrong assumption. And what I like about the show, and we have the room to actually do it in the show, is to ask those questions. We try not to answer the questions, but I think we do ask the audience to reconsider what they thought at the end. And there's a great surprise, but also, is it a surprise, or was it there the whole time and you just kind of didn't see it? These are the fun questions we try to pose at the very end of the show about who has power. Does anyone have power? Do any of them actually have any power?
Yeah, I think I know the question, that the event we'll get into that in a second. I want to talk about casting. Obviously, Julianne Moore, total, no-brainer to cast her as something, right? She's fantastic in everything that she does. She's astounding. I want to talk about what you saw in Milly Alcock for the role of Simone and Meghann Fahy for the role of Devon. They're fantastic actresses. What about them spoke to you that said they should play Devon and Simone as sisters?
Well, we had the great fortune of working with Allison Jones, our casting director, she is so good at this, because she just she has an ear for comedy. Of course, she's Allison Jones, but she kind of came in talking about both of them off the bat, so I have to credit her for that. But when we met Milly, because she actually read for us, and once we saw her do it, she was the only person we offered the role to. There's no one else who could have done it. She just blew us away, and I think the music of Simone's language is it's very specific. It makes a lot of really sharp turns, and Milly handled those with such ease, which is shocking too, because English is not her native language. So, English is, but American accent.
Not American, yeah.
She's not American accent, she doesn't have an American accent, but she just had such facility with the language. But also, I found that her take on Simone was, I just felt her pain, and I really cared about her, and I had so much empathy for her, and that's so important for Simone, that we go on that we feel nurturing towards her. We almost feel motherly towards her. That she's so winning in the role. So the answer is she read for us. Probably the last time she'll ever read for anybody, but she was fabulous. And then Meghann Fahy kept coming up. She kept coming up. Netflix kept bringing her up. Allison kept bringing her up. I will confess to you that I was like, she's in White Lotus. She's in The Perfect Couple. I just feel like we're going to be welcoming comparisons that actually I don't know that we want to welcome. And long story short, they were like, just meet with her. And, no one knows that she can do this yet. She has this huge range as a dramatic actress. And that's exactly what happened. Nicole Kassell, our director, we met with her. She just has such range, and to be able to
Hmm.
pivot between comedy and drama like that, and such heart. And also, I think there's a lot about Devon and Devon's backstory coming from Buffalo and her and not coming from money. And there was just a lot that she could really access so easily. So once we heard Meghann do it, that was that as well. Easy. And the two of them, we never even read them against each other. We didn't have to. We were like, they are so perfectly suited to be sisters. Um, so yeah, it was easy, easy casting. All three of the Sirens were easy. The hard part was trying to get the script to Julie and hoping that Julie would read it and like it. That was the hardest part. And Julie loves birds. So we really lucked out because I think she read the script and liked it. She liked everyone involved, which was wonderful. But I think the fact that she loved birds in the show was a huge, huge caveat.
It's a good thing that we have VFX to have that shot of the bird flying into the window, because I would imagine that that would break her heart in real life.
Actually, she had a lot of questions about it right away. Like, we're not gonna, that's gonna be, she didn't, she had a lot of questions about making sure that the birds had a good experience on set as well. And they did, but it was shocking because they're birds of prey, they're predators. They could be quite dangerous, but they'd be on set and Julie would open the cage and just reach on in and isn't afraid of them, and they fall madly in love with her. It was fascinating.
That's incredible. Yeah, and Megan Fahy, this character is nothing like her character in White Lotus. It's nothing like her character in The Perfect Couple. It's nothing like her character in the film Drop that she's also had recently. So these four projects absolutely show her range. The discovery for me in this was Milly, because I'd only known her from House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
And so to see her in this, totally American persona, I don't know someone like that, but I can imagine that that is someone that exists. She totally nailed that performance. And I actually spoke to the cinematographer, Gregory Middleton,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
and he said she came to the set and she just understood so much about this character that it was really amazing to see.
She is a superstar. I mean, the fact that she's about to be Supergirl, and like she already is Supergirl. She's a superstar. She's also lit from within in a way that like it's uncanny when you meet her and you see her on screen, because there is like a light bulb inside of her. Like she lights up the screen. But she's also just lovely to work with. She's so intelligent, and she came in with a take on Simone that was so thoughtful, and she was really prepared and unafraid. And I think that that's one thing I really admired about her, is that her default setting is yes. So if you say, "Could we try this?" It's yes. Like she is eager to try, eager to learn, eager to take it on. She's a real superstar. We were all blown away by Milly as well. I'm glad you were too.
Oh yeah, she's fantastic.
Incredible performance. And you never get ahead of her. You never get ahead of Simone because of her performance, which I really credit her.
I want to follow up on something that you said a little bit earlier. I'm very interested. Simone makes a very, what I at the time considered unexpected choice in the finale. And, I don't want to spoil it for anybody that hasn't seen it, but you say that is hinted at throughout. Like, should that be a surprise? Did I miss something along the way?
No, you didn't. You experienced it exactly right. We worked so hard in the writer's room to turn those cards over really carefully so that you do not see it coming at the end. So we wanted the audience to be surprised. I think it's that kind of thing. Like if you watch again, there are, especially the way Simone talks about herself. There are little hints. Her dream is very suspicious that she has where Ethan is dead. She also is not telling the truth. And like if you were to watch it a second time, you'll notice how much she's lying, how much she's thinking. Also, one of the beautiful things about Milly's performance too is if you watch her face when she finds out little things about Ethan, like that Ethan is blown through his trust fund. You watch her knowing what happens later. If you watch it again, you see her really process that, like, oh, that's not good. And so I think, again, I think the idea that she is so desperate to not ever go back, to never be that little girl in Buffalo again. I think the story of her trauma and the way Milly performed it, to me, felt like a great surprise, but also like, oh yeah, oh no, yeah, she was telling us. She was telling us the whole time.
I do want to go back and rewatch it because I watched it without my wife, and so I said you've got to watch this. So it's on our list. I will rewatch it. I will be looking out.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. Well, I'm sure it would be super annoying if you watched it expecting it too. Like
Sure.
My big thing was, do you see it coming? We certainly have cuts that are make it a lot more clear, and we maybe try to hide the ball as much as possible.
Rest assured, I did not see that one coming. Last question for you. I was very captivated as I finished it. I was quite captivated by the question of, we start the show and characters, Devon considers Kiki a villain she considers her the villain of the story, the person that has sucked in Simone into this house and won't let her go and has hypnotized her or whatever. But is by the end of obviously the perceptives have changed. We look at Kiki very differently in the last episode as we did in the beginning. So that made me think, is there really a villain in the story? Is there a bad person here? Do you consider there to be a villain? And if so, who is it?
What was your answer? Did you think there is a villain?
My gut wanted to go to Peter, but then I have to think about the fact that he's been taken away from his family too. And, Kiki is kind of, no, you can't see your grandchild. And then, you think that he's stepping out on her, and no, it's actually to go see his children and his new grandchild. And I think if there is a villain, it's probably intangible, and it's probably the money. It's the privilege that is driving these decisions and this bad behavior.
Clarence, you get it. You should have written for the show. Yeah, the villain it's all that house and that island represent. That's why our final shot is Simone out on the cliff, stepping into this role. That's and again, when I say you go back and watch it again, all the shots of her climbing up those stairs, she is working hard to climb those stairs the whole show. But I think I experienced this when I was there when I was 22, but it is a infectious thing, that kind of money, and to be near it, to have it, that is the Siren song. It is so hypnotic. It pulls you in. And I think that it does turn people into monsters. And I think part of what the show to me is about is the sirens from mythology. We call them monsters, and they're crashing these boats on purpose, and these women are just out to destroy men. But I wonder if that's really what they're about. I don't know that is what they wanted, and I'm not sure why we cast them as monsters. So I'm hoping the show turns the lens around a little bit. What is the monster here? I don't think it's the women.
I agree with that. And I'm happy to have nailed that one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Molly Smith Metzler, thank you so much for the time today. Thank you for this wonderful limited series, and I can't wait to revisit it.
Thank you, Clarence. Thanks for having me. I hope your wife likes it.
Oh, I'm sure she will. Best of luck.
You too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.